right, welcome back indeed. 6th of January it is, whatever you're watching from East Africa and around the world. This is Citizen News at 1. I'm Johnson Mwakazi. Now, the Kenya National Union of Teachers has postponed the issuance of a 7-day strike notice to the Teachers Service Commission. NAT officials will be meeting with their counterparts from TSC on Wednesday this week to deliberate on the delayed promotion of 53,000 teachers. The outcome of the meeting with TSC will be communicated to the National Executive Committee within 2 weeks, after which the committee is expected to make a decision on whether or not to call for a teacher strike. And of course, that particular story forms the basis of our feedback question this afternoon, and we're asking you, are teachers justified in calling for a strike over promotions? Are teachers justified in calling for a strike over promotions? Yes, they have postponed, but are they really justified? You can send in your comments. The number is 22422. That's 22422. Kindly remember to include your name and location. Very important, and we'll be glad to sample some of them in this bulletin, so you don't want to miss that opportunity. In the meantime, let's move on to another story here. 4 men and 2 women have today been arraigned in a Nairobi court in connection with the murder of former Juja Member of Parliament George Thuo. The 6 appeared in court as the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions applied to have them remanded at the Muthaiga police station for 8 more days to enable police conduct and complete investigations before criminal charges are preferred against them. Justice David Majanja allowed the application and ordered that the suspects be remanded at the Muthaiga police station. The 6 suspects are Christopher Lumbasio Andika, Andrew Karanja Wainaina, Samuel Kuria Ngugi, Estandinda Mulinge, and Ruth Vanessa Irungu. Wainaina is the proprietor of Club Porkies in Thika, while Lumbasio was a friend of the late Thuo. Ndinda is the waitress who allegedly served Thuo, while Vanessa is the woman reveler who bought Thuo a beer before his death. Karanja is a disco jockey in the bar, while Kuria is a waiter at the bar. The 6 will be arraigned in court next week on Tuesday. Now, the Director of Political Affairs at the Office of the President, Joshua Kotuny, now says he will meet a section of MPs from the Jubilee Alliance who are dissatisfied with the recent appointments made by President Uhuru Kenyatta and, of course, Deputy President William Ruto. Kotuny said there was need for the leaders to meet in order to resolve differences between them. He said the government was willing to listen to grievances raised by MPs unhappy over the controversial appointments. He was speaking in Cherangani.
Sasa nimesikia wajumbe wamezungumza. Alfred Keter tulisoma na yeye university. Tumefanya na yeye course moja. Mimi ndio nilienda nikamtafuta. Nikamwambia ingia siasa simama. Bunge ya sasa niko na watu 6 ambao tulisoma na wao mwaka moja. Na wote mimi nilienda kuwatafuta. Sababu nilikuwa najua uongozi muhimu ni ya watu ambao ni chipukizi. Na ningependa ujumbe moja ningependa kutoa kwa hawa vijana wajumbe kwamba tumewasikia sawa sawa. Mumezungumza ya kutosha. Nitakuja kuwatafuta. Muniambie matatizo hayo ni gani ambayo hayawezi kutatuliwa. Rais amewasikiza. Kama ni mambo ya kuteua, kulalamikia kuteua wazee, na kesho je tukiteua vijana na hawazungumzii hata mimi.
All right, let's move on to other stories now. The Outdoor Advertising Association of Kenya has criticized the pulling down of several billboards in Mombasa by the county government. A move the association claims has cost its members losses amounting to well over 200 million shillings. The Mombasa County government destroyed the billboards over non-remittance of fees by the companies. Now, speaking to journalists in Mombasa today, the association members claimed the Mombasa County government will lose some 100 million shillings in revenue collection following the destruction of the billboards. The Mombasa County government launched a major operation to pull down all the illegal billboards in different parts of the county, whose owners are alleged to have failed to remit the advertisement fees to the county government since last year. Now you need to listen to this. His adopted name is a Sheng title for a rich man, and aptly so, because Mike Sonko is synonymous with generous handouts, a flashy lifestyle, and of course an appetite for courting controversy. But the Nairobi senator, whose real name is Mike Kioko Mbuvi, believes he's a good man, who is just a victim of misunderstanding. And as the father of 4 with a taste for fancy jewelry, outlandish clothes and blunt language, tells Willis Roburu the real news he hopes to make is help the realization of a better city for Nairobi residents. Here is a repeat of that story on Newsmakers 2013.
Money, power, vocal. Mike Sonko. He says he has been writing his own destiny, and it reads like this. At the 25th floor of the Kenyatta International Conference Center, we catch up with Mike Sonko, a man Nairobi voters elected as their senator. He's getting ready for the day as he dons his fancy jewelry, his trademark bling bling.
I identify with my colleagues, that is the youths, through blings, through studs, through my dressing. Leadership should not change my dressing style. I'm just a simple senator. I used to be a simple MP, and that should not change my life of dressing.
A quick glance at his office and one can immediately tell that he is keen on art, that he's a man who loves his family and who has a taste for the finer things in life. He says he likes to keep things mobile, and so his office contains what many would love to be in theirs.
Okay, this is my bathroom. These are my suits, my clothes. Hilo ndio dressing fashion yangu kutoka zamani. Bright, unakuwa recognize haraka. My shoes. Hii ni duvet. At times when I'm tired, nalala kidogo pale. I have a quick shower hapa. Nikitaka kujiseti kabla niende Senate. Hapa ndio mimi najisetingi.
Part 1 is done, and now a heavy task awaits him: picking the appropriate hat.
Hiyo ya rangi ya blue bado navanga na viatu ya blue. Kwa mfano sasa kama leo navaa kofia nyeusi kwa sababu niko na viatu vyeusi.
After that, it's time to leave. But something captures our eyes, as I am sure it will yours. Take a look at this phone.
Hello. Fungua nini store?
And with that, we leave. His entourage has about 6 cars. I tease him about it a bit on our way out.
Wanapiga kelele mambo ya watu kwa na kutoa siren. Nakumbuka hiyo debate. Sorry yao.
On the way, the first stop is the bank. And as we are here, we realize the inevitable, that when you walk with a man, a crowd will soon gather, and so security is on hand. Yet, by the time he leaves the bank, nothing can stop them or him from interacting.
Okay, with all these people crowding you, we've noticed that you have very tight security. Do you feel safe or crowded?
I feel very safe. I cannot avoid these people. These are the same people who have elected me as their senator. There is no way I can hide from them. I like walking on the streets. I don't fear them. Even at times I give instructions to my officers that whenever they greet me, they should not push them away.
We are en route to his Runda home, and it is evident that as Sonko approaches his house, many begin to approach him. But he says he would rather the youth come up with feasible, workable projects.
Leta nikitulia nitawasaidia, si kila saa Sonko. Sawa, ndio nasaria hiyo kibando hiyo mwende mkule. Mwende mkule akikuja na ofisi na kitu kitafanya. Pia kanyagia vijana wangu. Wazi, okay.
This is Sonko's Runda home. It is here that he resides with the people he regards as his pillar and strength, his family.
Huyu ni bibi yangu, anaitwa Primrose. Salma Mbuvi, second born. Last born, Sandra Mbuvi.
Sonko is very protective of his family and is known to be furious whenever people attack them. Likes to keep his family away from the limelight as much as he can and only calls on them to help him work. But we'll get to that later. He walks us through his house.
This is our small kitchen.
And the balcony where he says he sometimes goes to think. He reminisces of where it all began.
Hii ni gari ambayo nilianza nayo kwa biashara ya matatu. Na inanikumbusha mambo mengi sana. Kwa sababu hizi gari ndio zilifanya niingie siasa. Niliajiri wafanyakazi wengi, madereva wengi, makondakta wengi. Zimenifikisha pale niko.
It's been a long time since then, and one would wonder, with all the fame to his name, what next?
So you started as a member of parliament, and then you now jumped to a senator. What's next? I know it's a bit early, but what next for Michael Mbuvi Sonko?
For now, what I can say, let me work for the great people of Nairobi who voted for me, and maybe in future I'll decide on that. I've gone back to school. I'm now doing my degree. Then maybe around 2016, 2017, then I'll have made up my mind.
So Senator Mike Sonko is known largely as a man of the people and very active on Facebook and Twitter. And so what we did is we asked him to put up a post that he was doing Newsmakers and asked you to ask some questions to him, and then he'll have an opportunity to reply to them. And so we're going to do that right now. Do you Photoshop some of the pictures that you put up, and especially the one with Rachel Chebe?
No, those were photoshopped, imaged. By then there was a lot of politics. People were politicizing that matter. But these things came from our critics, came from our enemies. And I explained it earlier how we can come up with a Photoshop.
And one, David Gashaw is asking, where do you draw your wealth from? Because most Kenyans see you as extravagant and spending, and you're dressing. David Gashaw.
So I'm not as rich as people think. I depend on my salary. I depend on my private business. I depend on my clubs. I depend on my tattoos. I'm also a London estate agent. There's where I got my wealth. I can buy a beach plot for around 20 million. I advertise it abroad in Europe. I sell it for 100 million. I make profit and I share with my people.
There are some allegations that you did or do drugs to get your wealth. Can you put that matter to rest? Do you or do you not?
Because this story started immediately. I won the Makadara by-election, and they came with so many allegations. So I sell drugs, I sell Panadol. Other people are saying I sell private parts. I pack them in can and export them abroad. Other people were saying I used to sell albinos. Other people used to say I'm a thief. So these were just cheap politics.
I asked him about these antics and whether this will change.
These are the things I used to do. I admit my mistakes, but if you look at the records, the last time I went and slept on the road, punched the walls, those were my first months when I was elected as the member for Makadara. Yes, and I was protesting. There was something which was being done.
Perhaps one of the things Sonko is known for is his giveaways, and he has been widely criticized for this, with some saying it's a show-off. He often organizes free medical camps and aids for families who, according to him, are happy to be associated and helped. He even has his family joining in. His people include his family that have been with him. He says he runs to them whenever life gets tough. His mother-in-law and father are still in Buruburu estate, where he often goes. I seek to know just what kind of a child Sonko was growing up.
He was a very good footballer actually, and a netballer. And basketball actually. And not only that, he has so many skills. Hata mambo ya magari anajua sana, anaweza kufungua ngali stoko sote engine, anaweza press all the valves na rudishe. Naelewa.
And just like any father, he is protective of his son, Gideon Kioko Mbuvi Jr.
In politics, we don't fear those things. I said it a long time, 1983, and I know what it is in politics.